So you're probably like a lot of small business owners out there. You're paying a lot to a marketing company month after month, and you're wondering if they're actually doing a good job, or am I just getting ripped off? So hi, I'm Jimmy, and we help family-run small businesses reduce overheads and increase profits by becoming their own marketing agency. And I myself own a digital marketing agency called My Online Guy, and we've been operating now for almost 7 years. So the reason I'm making this video is because I see so many business owners basically getting ripped off by their marketing agency, and I'm trying to put a stop to that. It's really bad for the industry when there's a lot of business marketing agencies out there that are just don't care whether they rip off a small business or not by just not providing results or promising things they can't deliver, promising outlandish statements, not communicating. There's so many things that can determine whether you succeed as a business or fail as a business, and marketing is obviously one of those, and I want to be a part of contributing to make sure that you don't end up as a statistic of a failed business. I want to qualify that it's really important to do marketing, and it's really important to have a marketing agency. If that's yourself, that's awesome. But even if it's not, you do have to do marketing as a business. I think we all know that. And I just want to give you some tips and some warning signs, just some things to look out for to like tune your alarm in to see if your agency is doing a good job. These are like red flags, warning signs. And the 3 things I'm really going to cover off today are like the warning signs, the things you need to look out for in your marketing agency to tell if maybe you should take a deep dive, some of the questions you should be asking your marketing agency to determine if they're doing a good job or not, and just some tips and tricks on how to choose the right agency to work for, or whether it's time to actually start doing marketing yourself. The first thing I've got here is warning signs. Generally, if you're getting ripped off by your marketing agency, there'll be warning signs. It's never something that just appears out of nowhere. Now, I appreciate that you're busy running your business and putting out the spot fires that comes with running a small business, as I am, but you need to understand that these warning signs are pretty clear when you look out for them, and you don't just want to bury your head in the sand with it, especially if you're paying for a service and you don't get it, because quite frankly, especially with marketing, there's generally involves a lot of money, and it has a big effect on your business. So it requires that kind of urgency and sensitivity to these warning signs. So one of the biggest warning signs that I think you'll see if a marketing agency is not doing what they're supposed to be and maybe not going to get you results is a lack of communication. This is your number one warning sign, and it's something that I see all the time when I talk to businesses. They're like, Jimmy, the company I work with, they just don't get back to me in time. I send them an email and it takes them 4 days to get back to me. I send them a question, a hard question, or I probe a little bit and they get defensive. This is a massive red flag and your biggest warning sign that your agency that you're working with is not A, professional, but B, is most likely ripping you off and may not get you results. Now, this isn't a be all and end all. Sometimes we all get busy, including us marketing agency owners, we get busy and we can't get back to you straight away. But when it becomes a trend of not getting back to you consistently, let's say for instance, you send them an email going, oh, hi Jimmy, just checking to see how the campaign's doing. I noticed we're not getting as many leads as we were a couple of weeks ago. And it takes them 5 days to get back to you and they get defensive. Well, this is a actual pretty decent red flag, an indication to drive deeper and to probe harder. The biggest thing that business owners don't realize when it comes to marketing agencies is that the squeakier you are as a wheel, the better results you'll get. And I shouldn't be saying that as an agency owner, but it's the truth. If I have a client that is really on me and really keeping in front of it and wanting to learn and understand that, then by virtue of the fact that they require more of my attention, I'm probably going to do a better result. And it's not, I don't give my other clients a good result. It's just the nature of the beast. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for, is a lack of communication. Also a change in communication too. Let's say for instance, you've been communicating them via email, then all of a sudden you're getting passed on to different people without any reason. That's another sign to look out for. The next thing to look out for as a warning sign when it comes to the red flags, you see these warning signs potentially look deeper into your marketing agency, is no clear goals and objectives. This one I see a lot, and there's a lot of businesses that have blind faith and hand over money to people that aren't actually giving them clear goals and objectives on what they need to achieve. Now, I appreciate there's some things in marketing that are pretty hard to define goal-wise. SEO is one of those things. It's very hard to determine exactly the results you're going to get. But when you're getting your marketing reports and your monthly reports and you don't see any clear goals or objectives on there, you just see like traffic and traffic volume stuff, but there's no how many leads you've got, how many the conversion rates, metrics that actually tip the needle. That's actually a pretty good sign that the marketing agency may not be confident in their ability to get results. And again, this isn't always the case. This is just something that I've observed being in the industry a long time. With goals and objectives, this is probably the biggest red flag that I see. You know, you see it all the time. One way to test this out is when you start talking about goals and objectives, just probe as you're talking and try and determine whether they actually know what they're doing. And, you know, businesses need to take some responsibility for this. Imagine being a builder and I'm buying you're a builder and I'm buying a house off you, or you're building a house for me, and you turn around and go, oh, the house may look like this. You know, it may have a roof, it may not. It may have a bathroom, it may not. Do you think I would accept that as someone that's getting a house built? No. Same with a lawyer. If you hire a lawyer and the lawyer goes, oh, we may or may not win this case, you know, just give me the money and we may win, I don't know. Would you accept that? No. So marketing agencies are no different. If the person you're working with is like, oh, we may get this result, we don't know what we're going to get. It's, you know, it's like, no, I need some goalposts. I need some clear objectives. Is my house going to have a roof? Is my house going to have a bathroom? Think about it like that and don't accept anything less. Another thing to watch out for, these red flags, these warning signs, is not providing data-driven results. Now, this is a thing I see a lot in the industry, and from the inside out, business owners need to be conscious of. There is a lot of agencies out there that are very obscure when it comes to providing data. So they'll tell you the campaign's going good. They'll send you a report with some random numbers on it, but they don't tell you what the numbers mean, and they don't explain what the numbers are. And there's no data data geared towards results. So there's no conversion data on there. There's no how many phone calls we're getting. There's no how many of the visitors that we get turn into conversions. There's none of that kind of stuff. If you were to work with a plumber, say for instance, and they turned around and said, oh, you know, we're working on the bathroom, you know, we're renovating your bathroom, it's going to take, I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but look at this new tap faucet I got. So it's like the questions you're going to ask are like, oh, how long is it going to take? You know, are we close? You know, do we need to do anything else? Is there any problems? But all they're doing is holding up the faucet going, oh, this is a really nice chrome faucet. Just look at this. Don't worry about the rest of the bathroom. Look at this. Look at this nice bathtub. The whole time they're just completely ignoring the question about when is it going to be finished. That's a similar scenario in the real world. Another warning sign to look out for, someone that's charging you a retainer but can't explain what that cost is for. So let's say, for instance, you're paying for search engine optimization, and when you ping them and ask them what's been done for the month, they can't give you an answer, or they don't, or they get defensive. Someone that is not clearly defining what they do. So like most professional agencies that have staff, we use project management tools that allow us to allocate time to people and actually give that to the client if they really ask. So if we have a client that wants to really see what we've been up to, we can send them a report from our project management tool that kind of lines out exactly what we've done for the month. Also, in our reporting, we will tell clients what we've generally done, and generally I will do that with a video. But if who you're working for, they don't communicate that in any way, that's a massive red flag. If they're not keeping you in the loop of what's happening and what you're getting for your money, that's a huge warning sign and red flag that they may be ripping you off. Again, they could just be busy, but more than likely, if they're not telling you what they've been doing for the month and they're just going, oh, trust me, you know, I get it done, unless you have that specific arrangement with them and you've communicated that with them, there's a good chance that they may be just taking your money. Doesn't necessarily mean you won't get results either. I want to qualify this. I wouldn't take this as a reason to drop a marketing agency, but I would take it as a reason to look deeper. And that leads to our second thing that will help you determine if your marketing agency is ripping you off, and that is the questions you need to ask them if these warning signs are triggered. So let's say, for instance, a couple of these things I mentioned today, you know, they're playing in your mind. These are some of the questions you can ask of your marketing agency to determine if they're actually doing what they're supposed to. It's never too late to ask a marketing agency questions. This is a big myth. Like, I know a lot of questions get asked at the start of a relationship with a marketing agency, but we always encourage our clients to ask questions because we don't want them to get upset at us over something that maybe is just a misunderstanding or we can answer. So we always actively encourage it. We're always willing to back up what we say with data. And your agency should be too. And it's a good sign. If they can't do this, then maybe there's something more sinister going on. So some of the questions I would ask if I was mid-campaign and some of these red flags would just be probing how, what, when, why. So like a good question to be asked is like, can you give me a detailed report of what's been done and what's left to do? So let's say it's SEO. Can you please give me a detailed report of what's been done this month and what we're doing next month? You have every right to ask that. You're a consumer. You have the right to information about your success and failure. So I would definitely ask that. Same with Google Ads. It's like, thank you for sending me the report last month. Do you mind us getting on a call and going through it? Or can you send me some like cheat sheet to interpret the information that's on here? I talk to a lot of clients and from other agencies, and they talk about how they just get sent these reports without any information in them. They have information in them, but they don't understand it. That's the worst case scenario for you as a business owner, because you can't make decisions then. So asking your agency to clarify what's on your report so that you can make a better decision on that. Another thing you can do if you're a little bit further into your campaign with a marketing agency is ask them to determine how they feel it's going and where they think the results will be. So let's say you're 3 months into a campaign, doing SEO or Google Ads or something like that. Email the company and go, excuse me, Mr. Company. Now, I know at the start we couldn't really determine any results, but we're a quarter in. How is it looking, and what do you feel like the results are going to be now based on the data that you're seeing? That's a very good question to ask. And the things you're looking out for is like, obviously a lot of agencies are busy. They don't, they may give you short responses. That's not a red flag. You just need to get them to clarify or to book a meeting with them to talk about this stuff. But a big red flag is if they get defensive. So if you ask them to give you data and they're like, oh, we don't give clients this stuff, and what is it, and they get defensive via email, that's a huge red flag, because it means you put them on the spot, and it means they probably don't have that available. If you ask them to give you a result and they go into a tirade about how you don't trust them and you should just trust the process and trust them, that's not good either. So those are the kinds of questions you need to ask. You need to not be afraid to hurt the marketing agency's feelings, because at the end of the day, it's your money and it's your livelihood and it's your family's livelihood, and it's the difference between your kids going to school, a private school or not. The marketing agency, yes, you've got to be respectful, but at the end of the day, your business is more important than the marketing agency's. That's my opinion, of course, and that's me saying that as a marketing agency. So how do you choose the right marketing agency? I've spoken about a few things to ask. I've spoken about some of the red flags. How do you actually find a good marketing agency? Well, you just do the inverse of what we're saying. So the biggest thing I would suggest businesses look for is communication. Communication is the key to finding the perfect agency. That would be the single biggest thing I would look for as a small business when I'm looking for a marketing agency, is communication. Because if you can't communicate A, what you're not happy about, and B, they can't communicate the things that they need from you, and you guys have a good line of communication in the space that you want to be communicated in. So if you prefer emails, then they need to make sure that you need to make sure that the marketing agency you work with communicates via emails. If you prefer calls, then you need to make sure that the marketing agency you speak to and you deal with and partner with is happy to take calls. You set the rules and you set the bar and you set the standards, because at the end of the day, you're the consumer, not the agency. The agency can set certain rules. I personally don't like it when a business owner questions my judgment on stuff in regards to like suggesting keywords and things. It's like, well, you're paying me for a service. Trust my professional opinion the same way you would a lawyer, things like that. But look, I would prefer my communication to be through phone calls. If they're not happy with that, pick another agency. There are so many agencies out there, and trust me when I say that why relationships fail when it comes to small businesses and marketing agencies is a lot of time communication. They want to call, the agency doesn't want to take calls. Businesses wants to email and the agency wants to send videos all the time. So that's what I would ask. I would specifically ask that in my discovery calls as well. It's like, what is your primary form of communication with your clients? And then, go from there. Because seriously, if you can work out how to communicate, then if you do have red flags that pop up like this, then you can talk through it and then you can get the campaign back on track, because it is expensive to go and change agencies. So the next thing you need to, next tip to choose the right marketing agency is discuss things like experience, past success, and transparency. Just feel them out. if you're a business owner and you've been in business for a while, you have a good gut for good people. And obviously in this space, there's a lot of slick talkers and there's a lot of people selling a lot, but just probe. If they say something that doesn't sound right to you, go, look, can you just explain that to me? I'm not 100% sure I get it. And just probe and probe and probe and really see if they understand what they're trying to say to you. And that's something I pride myself on is I don't talk about things I don't understand. So if a client probes me and I'm talking about Google Ads and they go, well, can you just explain that in a way that makes a little bit more sense? I'm always happy to do that. But there's marketing agencies out there that if you were to ask them, so they have their script that they work off to try and sell you into a service. And if you ask anything from that deviation about the nuts and bolts of what they're trying to do, they'll probably just freeze because they're not used to getting questions like that. But it's a single best way to determine if the person you're working with actually knows what they're doing versus just someone that's just trying to sell something they've found on YouTube. And transparency is another big one. You want to work with an agency that's transparent to you so that you can be transparent in return. If they won't tell you who the management team is, if they don't tell you how they go about doing their processes, if they don't tell you, their nuts and bolts and the mechanics of how it works, then that's a massive red flag, and I would probably avoid an agency like that. If they don't tell you where they're going to be posting your ads, if they don't tell you, roughly how many staff they have, where the locations are, if they're not willing to answer questions like that and be transparent with you, then how are you going to have a long-term partnership with an agency like that? And of course, the other tip for choosing the right marketing agency is just to become your own marketing agency. That's always the tip that I would suggest, is that 99% of small businesses don't actually need a marketing agency. You can be your own marketing agency if you really want to. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes energy, but it only takes like 10 hours a week if you do it properly. So if you want to learn more about that, check out the description below. I've got a newsletter there, and you can sign up for that, and I give tips on how you can become your own marketing agency and remove the requirement for a marketing agency altogether. Remove the whole reason to have the red flags, remove being ripped off. So in summary, look for the red flags first. You want to make sure that you look for these warning signs. You want to make sure that you're seeing if they communicate. If they're lacking communication, you want to make sure that they have clear goals and objectives. And you want to make sure that they have data-driven results, because that's really important. You want to make sure they don't tiptoe around the bushes, so to speak. That's a really big one as well. And you want to make sure that when you're talking to the agency, don't be afraid to hurt their feelings, because at the end of the day, it's your money and you need to make sure that you look after your own interests. So make sure to ask the hard questions. Make sure to get them to clarify what's going on. Make sure to get them to commit to results. Get on calls and talk to you and explain things, because that's their job. If you are going to pay the money for an agency, that is the one thing they should be doing for you, is clarifying, communicating, and educating. And if they're not doing that, then you probably are getting ripped off at some level. If you are looking for another agency, make sure to look for one that communicates at your level. Make sure to probe when you're doing your discovery call. Ask for their experiences and transparency. And then there's always the option of being your own marketing agency. Doesn't take much time, takes a little bit of effort and energy, but there's secrets to getting it to work really well. 99% of businesses don't need a marketing agency. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to make some follow-up videos onto this because I already see some questions that need answering. But guys, leave your questions in the comments. I do a live once a week on the channel, and I answer just questions that pop up. I've also got my email newsletter there. Please sign up for that. I send an email once a week, once a fortnight perhaps, with some tips and tricks on how you can become your own marketing agency. And like I said, most businesses don't need a marketing agency, and that's what we're trying to change here at Self-Run Marketing. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and going to catch you all next week.